Hi, hello, welcome to Argumenter, the podcast stage to discuss, deliberate, and debate on various contemporary social, legal, and political issues. With me today, we have two amazing argumenters of our team, Minaj and Joel. We three of us will discuss something special today. So, the topic that three of us had mutually in mind was politicide. Politicide, political intolerance, cancel culture. A lot of words that are interconnected. We hear them often, but we often have a tendency to ignore them after 2 to 3 days. So, primarily, I think it's very much important for our listeners as well to understand what politicide is all about. Different definitions have been, what do I say, formulated by people across the globe about politicide. However, the most basic discussion or the most basic meaning we can figure out about politicide is the deliberate intention or deliberate actions that are undertaken to destruct or cleanse a group of people who share a common political ideology. The reasons behind it can be anything. It can be about the outraged vengeance of an action, a political agenda, or something that comes about against a political ideology that they follow. However, ultimately, the intention behind the acts of politicides will be cleansing the entire population who follow a particular culture. So, with respect and adherence to numerous events that we have been witnessing in India and across the globe, and what we have witnessed from the history as well, will make us feel to understand or think about what is the current situation that we are in about politicide. So, Joel, I wanted to ask you about this as well. Like Joel is somebody who is really much interested in political debates, arguments. He's a pro in it. So, Joel, understanding about various ideologies in our country, they have definitely parties come up with conflicting opinions. Dissent is ultimate in democracy. So, what do you feel about these kind of conflicts that occur in such a manner that why do you think that there's an extreme tendency to cleanse? Why do you think people have a tendency to destruct each other and cleanse each other according to you?
Thank you, Maria. I think it's very unfortunate for viewers to think of myself as someone who has some kind of political knowledge. But then I kind of follow what is really happening around, and it is see. I think it's ever since the beginning of time as to how does a conflict arise, because a conflict arises because one person cannot agree with another person's opinion. So that depends on how you're able to counter that. So either you be through by your words you're able to counter that person, or by actions, or even by the most extreme case of killing, or doing something really harmful to to the person. So I think especially with regard to political killings, and if you look into our country and look into the world in general as well, I think some of like I think all you must be aware about the Rwandan genocide. If I or else if I could just briefly tell you, there was actually a conflict between two tribes in Rwanda. It was so violent in that particular period of time, and because it was a conflict between one tribe called as Tutsi tribe and one tribe called as Hutu tribe, and the Tutsis I think were the minority if I'm not wrong. And there was the ethnic basically the cleansing from one side, as basically be the media also was kind of responsible for, like, that's what we many people try to criticize as to how the role of the media was to develop the fuel of political hatred. So today when we see Rwanda, it's a lot more better situation because the current regime is looking at it as a more Singapore of Africa is what they're trying to aim at. But if you look into India, I think I'm reminded of two particular states, be it Kerala and be it West Bengal, it's a constant conflict between, be it those from the left, or be it those from the RSS, or those from the right in particular. And I think it's something it's a place where either you pick, it's something like when you're not able to agree on a particular point, or like you don't want someone else to go and vote, or you don't want someone else to actually teach in a particular place, you just want to finish other person. So I think when I was a small child, I was very reminded of like by people around me. Like, there's actually this very famous incident in Kerala wherein one teacher was hacked to death in front of his students.
Yes.
I think he was
Hmm.
from the BJP or RSM. I'm not wrong. And similarly, vice versa as well. Recently, also what we saw with the violence of a very small, basically like a 10 standard or 11 standard, if I'm not wrong, that particular young age and being driven by an ideology of hatred or ideology of trying to kill someone is something which is very disturbing. And we hope that, some sense prevails in the near future.
I think what fuels political violence and politicides is the fact that the youth is a very soft target for these political identities and political entities. So they basically take advantage of the naivety of the youth and young children and try to imbibe these political ideas and the hatred towards people with differing opinions from a very young age. And that's what leads to politicides. And that sort of creates that tendency. Like you stated about the boy in 10th standard, it's really shocking and it's really disheartening to know that someone of such a tender age could be a victim of politicides.
Yeah, Minaj, moreover, with respect to political murders, I don't know if you guys might have noticed in movies and all, like in many of the movies that have come up with political agenda, or what do I say, political concepts in those movies, you would have found that when somebody is murdered, the representatives from a political party have a tendency to go and pay a visit to the corpse with their flag. And what do they do is they'll place the flag over the corpse or over the dead body. They'll just place the flag. That's a kind of sarcastic note in which a lot of movies try to portray how what do I say, politicide is being, or how manipulations are being undertaken on normal killings to political killings. And with respect to what Joel just stated about two states, he just spoke about Kerala and spoke about West Bengal. With respect to National Crime Record Bureau's reports in 2018, like if you guys remember about it, West Bengal was the state to top in the number of political murders. So the kind of intolerance, so the best example or best examples that we can come up in case of political murders is that when these become a regular sight, and if you look into the intention behind a crime or the mens rea behind a particular crime, it might be a small debate that would have triggered. It might be a small discussion that would have ended up in a murder. And what they do is when one person from a party is killed, okay, I agree, the entire family is in grief, the entire community that surrounds and depends upon that person's on grief. What does the other party do is that when one party has done this, in return or in vengeance, the second party does this, or the opposite party does the same to one of the members of these parties. And just like Vinay has pointed out, youth being in their tender age is the biggest, biggest target of these political murders and murderers all the time. So what do you guys, okay, we have somehow managed to figure out that political intolerance is the topping factor in this. But do you think that we will ever come to an end to a situation? Because in Kerala also, the most recent murders, there are two murders that are being pointed out. That's the latter one. I will not really claim it to be a political murder because allegations are being around that particular murder of a 17-year-old boy whose brother was in a particular political party, and there were problems with regard to his political connections, to which I don't have to, comment about. But in the previous case, in the first murder in this particular series, which had happened on the day of the election, it was near to my place. It was near to my own residence. So all these cases, if you find, the entire city or the entire town is put into a phase of grief and problems. Like all our lives are in trouble when we speak a word against somebody. So do you think that are we ourselves being victims to not to speak a word against a particular party or an action against a particular party, directly infringing our own right to freedom of speech and expression? So how do you guys attach things to our rights to speak about something or to dissent to something?
Mario, I think when it comes to rights, we are aware that we have the freedom of speech and expression, but we're afraid to use it. And that's the key factor in today's world. Let's look at Argumenter podcast, for example. Before having podcasts, we have a discussion on what to talk about. And then we ourselves tell each other, okay, let's refrain from making any politically sensitive comments. Let's refrain from taking any sides in this particular argument. That's the fear that's sort of ingrained in our minds, because although we have the right, we're afraid to use it. And political violence and political intolerance is spread out to all areas. If you look at it, it's spread out to journalism as well. An eminent journalist in in Karnataka, Gauri Lankesh was also murdered for the same thing, showing a strong political view, and which ended up in her losing her life. And even if you look at it worldwide, if you look at the journalist who had said who was against Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, even there he was put into prison, and now he's facing a lot of problems in prison as well. So if you look at it, political intolerance has a long history, and it's just continued and is taking different forms right now. That's my view on what political intolerance is today.
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
see that's in
Rohit, do
particular
you have the
to
same opinion, or do you?
yeah. That's in particular to what we like. It's something which is very unfortunate, but it's the reality. If that particular ideology which you're believing in is something which is more important than your own life, I think that's more of a cult than or it's more of something which is not. It's not what you ought to be striving for. Be it on extreme ends, be it someone who takes up arms against the state, or be it someone who wants to kill its own citizens as well. So that's something which one needs to really take into factor, because right now the common buzzword is the term cancel culture, and that's something which we I discussed as well. Like, well, be it either side, be it on social media, or even be it even person to person, one person of a particular who has a sense of belief in a particular kind of belief, doesn't want to even mingle with that particular person, or doesn't want to have anything with that particular person, because he or she doesn't believe in it. Like, even if you look into our stories, there may be both sides of, like, many of our friends, like both sides of the spectrum. They were like, okay, this is somebody of the liberal side, or this is someone who's a buck side. Like, until and unless we stop terming either side as bucks or liberal, that's something which is actually going to be fueling more amount of hatred, because right now, maybe in this so many years, there was one kind of ideology which is kind of dominating. Right now, there's a different kind of ideology which is dominating. But then something if you have to meet a common ground, is where we need to have a lot more educational and a lot more better debates, as such, instead of just commenting online, or trying to completely troll that person, or even or even kill journalists, or even kill, like, even see, something which, even if you are not even if you are not even capable as such, basically, I feel that at least in the school level, or at least in the college level, one needs to be really brought forward and taught about the political history of our country, not from one particular, be it from, because I think the constant allegation is on that we have often learned history from a more left perspective than a more historical right or a cultural right perspective. I think if the new education policy is a lot more accommodative, it should try to accept factors of both, of a cultural history of India, and not a history of India,
Correct.
which is after 50 years of independence, or after independence as such, because India did exist before as well. So that is something, if because sometimes you might say, because like Maria had mentioned, like, the entire town will be in some instances of murder, the entire town will be in a hartal, or in a particular or in a particular band as such. And the kind of banners they put on like saying, we have grievances for the loss, we will take our revenge, or like, it's something which were even seeing day to day as such. And like, even like, if you look at some reports as well, like in Kerala, Kannur is this one place which is actually a lot more politically active kind of a district. So, because basically you see
Yeah.
a lot, it's a lot more left dominated district, but also you have a constant tussle between the left and the right. So, like, I think there was a data between 2000 to 2000 to 2016, that at least 69 political killings that happened in that particular time frame, between 2000 to 2016. So I think that is something which is very disheartening. At either side of a spectrum are using it as political fuel. So, even be it the recent Kuch Bihar incident as well, like, in Bengal, when you were on, like, first of all, holding elections in this particular time frame, I think it should be I think something needs to be taken place. Like, see, the entire process must go on, but at least go into a more virtual mode as such. But I don't
Well,
know how
I'm
it can be feasible.
actually done with that part of discussion of COVID case in elections, because I don't mind me saying this, because every one of us were made aware. Like, just recently, I just checked the news and came up. I saw my state today has come up with 18,856 cases of COVID patients who have turned positive. There might be people who claim it's just because the number of tests have increased, for which positivity rate has also increased. I don't know how, okay, I'm just not carrying the statistical records. I'm simply saying the fact that if you made us, if you did not care of us during these election campaigns and elections, I don't understand the point of you telling us to go sit at home. But I'm not justifying the claim at all, but simply the fact, like you, the politicians whom we have, what do you say, whom we respect, whom we take due attention on, people are easily influenced by these politicians. I don't understand the point of you arguing about the, what do I say, not to Joel, I'm telling you about in general. Like the precautions that we're asked to take care of now and not a week before is something unjustifiable. And Joel, you may continue. I just got triggered by
Yeah,
hearing COVID.
I understand. See,
Maybe,
like that particular aspect is something which can be discussed about. But I think some things need to go on. Like I think I don't know. It be very wrong to say at election should takes place in a time when we are facing a lot of COVID deaths and COVID cases. But then right now we can't really think of a plausible way of closing down our country completely as such, because these elections must go on as a matter of its process. Either the EC can do a lot more simpler job of trying to reduce the crowd, or reduce the number of rallies, or club the poll days. That no party will agree, because they want to cover more districts as such. But anyway, that aside, that particular incident in Cooch Behar, where there was a firing taking place by allegedly by the CISF on a few workers. So that is also being trying that, like there were allegations on the TMC of being trying to use that as a political fuel of saying, look, the central forces are kind of getting on us, and things like that, which is unfortunately the like what every party stands for. Even I think there was a period of time when the TMC had contested, I think one of the panchayat elections, so many of the seats no one was even contesting against the TMC candidate. That much amount of fear many of the candidates had while they were contesting in the panchayat elections. So like when in the panchayat elections against many of the TMC candidates, there were no candidates only. So only they won by themselves in several because there's some kind of fear as what being speculative of. So I think that is something we often hear about, and no one is able to get into a particular kind of a solution, because either side wants to claim more lives. More lives means more amount of traction, more amount of saying, yes, we are the more accommodative, we are the more better ideology, because we have more killing, but then we strive for our ideology to stand strong. So that's something, I don't know how far we can really counter that, and say it, how can we stop about it. And I think we can't get to a point of being a common ideology, because that's impossible to be at.
Joel, common ideology is utopian.
Yeah, of course.
And like you stated, this is a constant tussle between two sides of the spectrum. You did this, I'll do that. And like you said, they boast more killings and saying, okay, fine, the people of our party respect this ideology, and that's why we're standing strong despite having so many killings. We can face any problem. All this is just politics at the end of the day. And when it comes to finding a solution, there is no solution to this, Joel, if you think about it. It all depends on what we as the populace, as the electorate do with our votes, and how we would like to choose our leaders. If we're going to elect leaders that sort of promulgate and encourage people to lean towards this side of political hatred, then we shouldn't really be complaining about it in the end, because we are the ones giving them the power, and we are the ones putting them at that pedestal and allowing them to misuse their power. So we should be more responsible as an electorate, and we fail to understand sometimes that the power rests in us.
correct.
Yeah, Mario, you were saying something?
Completely understand, Minak, because even your part of argument, and even Joel's part of argument, where he said awareness, he had promulgated in a different manner, but I just made that word into awareness. So all these things can help. But let's also talk about one important thing about political murders getting into campuses, getting into colleges, getting into universities. Let's also talk about that, because when Joel had talked about the attack towards the professor before his students, in front of his students, his colleagues in faculty. Another example of Abhimanyu, who was murdered, who was also murdered. So when you check back stories of all these murders, when you check the stories of all these political incidents, it's okay. Joel had just mentioned about a case of a professor who had been, I think he had been talking about a professor whose hand was cut. Is that the case, Joel, or were you talking about a different case?
So that was, see,
Did I
the
guess it
case I
wrong?
was mentioning about was actually a pretty old case. Like that is one of the most famous cases of the beginning of between the left and the right. Basically, they went. I think that some of the left workers, they went into the class and they cut that person into like they were saying pieces, but then basically cut him and hacked him in front of his students in the
Understood.
class. Yeah.
Understood. That's a different case then. I'm talking about what had happened to Professor Joseph TJ, who was a professor of Malayalam at Human College, Thodupuzha. It was a very unpopular incident in Kerala, where in front of his students, in front of his colleagues, he has been cut off by his hand by the, what do we say, members of PF, the political front of India, the political front party members. So in this case, the victim was not somebody who belonged to a particular party. That's the first thing to be noted. Secondly, the murder of Abhimanyu, who was a student at college. So here he belonged to a particular party and he followed a particular party ideology, but it does not justify a murder that is inside a campus or a murder that is happening between students. So this again reiterates the fact that Minatis was talking about in the beginning, that youth are the biggest, victims come murderers in these matters. So do you think that beyond the scope of awareness that Joel was saying, as we almost reach towards the end of the session, just like Joel had said in the beginning, do you think that the awareness should begin in our classrooms, or do you think the awareness should come from our politicians, the senior politicians who lead us, the senior politicians who lead and frame our political ideology? So where do you think we should begin, or is it something that has to happen mutually?
Mario, we can't expect our political leaders to give awareness like this, to be tolerant towards other ideologies, because that will just go against their complete manifesto, their complete beliefs. So what we need to do
Correct.
is try to help the younger generation, the youth in schools and colleges, to try to come up with a more, tolerant kind of outlook. Even if they lean towards the left or the right, they still need to respect the views and the ideologies of the other end of the spectrum without having a sort of hatred.
It's one thing.
Correct.
It's very clear that, and I think we need, like, be it either sides, one needs to at least read both books, be it Karl Marx's manifesto or even other extreme forms of the left extreme books as well, and even read books, be it by Golwalkar or even be it those of the RSS ideology. So like you get a fair idea of what each side is, instead of having a preconceived notion that okay, one side is bad because the media has been throwing that particular person as such. So I think that is one thing which really needs to be a different kind of an outlook needs to be given. Like in school, I think there is a fear that if you're taught both sides of a spectrum, then the child might get corrupted by these ideologies, and it's not time. Fine, let's not take schools. Let's take colleges colleges at least. Like even in our political ideology classes or even be it in different forums as well. At least let's try to learn something which the other side also is trying to strive for.
Exactly.
And something which at least we are aware of what things are anti-state and what things are not, which are pro-state as such, because we do want a welfare state, and we do want something for the welfare of the people, be it socially, economically, and stably, and also a lot more competitive and also a lot more competitive India, especially after 1990 reform as such. So like such kind of things have actually we need to open our eyes and see as to what the reality is, and smell the coffee at least right now. And I think with that being said, I'd like to thank each one of you for tuning into our Argumenta podcast. Actually, we do have our new website which is actually out right now, so you can tune into our the various platforms, be it YouTube or Spotify or even IGTV as well, like in the website as well. So directly you can access it as well, and do put forward your comments as well as to how you felt the session was. If it could be a lot more, if you had felt that some points could have been stressed on as well, or if you would like to join us as well in one session, we'd be happy to accommodate you as well. Until then, thank you so much for tuning in. Good night.